Hola, hola, Bafetu, Sanbona, and welcome again to my YouTube channel. My name is Khotom Pondlovu, Nobafo Tabang. How are you, my brother? Good stuff, good stuff. You've been at the gym lately, ne?
It's my pain. It's a massage every time.
That's in our
Yeah,
pain.
massage.
Yeah. Welcome again to my channel, guys. And today's topic is about the month of February in football. February having ended, actually, the transfer window having ended in Jan. And then in February, we got some interesting news. I think it was on Valentine's Day to be specific, ne? Or around that time. Kylian Mbappe actually having came out that he's leaving PSG. And hey, we've got actually a number of reactions to that. Real Madrid obviously being first in line to sign him. What do you think about that? Let's speak about PSG and Mbappe. What do you think about the headline, everything around it actually, him finally leaving PSG?
Well, for me, I just think it's best for Mbappe to the PSG. No offense, for me, it's best for Mbappe to the PSG. If
Hmm.
he wants to win Ballon d'Ors, UEFA Champions
The
League,
UEFA Champions League to be
yes,
specific.
exactly.
Wow. What do you think about that? Do you think he never stood a chance at actually taking the Champions League with PSG? Let's start with the guy behind the camera. How are you, my brother?
Away, Inter.
Ah,
Well, basically, nah. We've seen like how PSG has tried to beef up their squad and trying to win the Champions League, even coming as close as reaching the final, but
mm,
unfortunately losing to Bayern Munich, right?
mm.
But the project is failing, and I feel like if Mbappe is going to stay there for the sake of trying to win the title, it's actually going to be a waste of football for him because like I feel like they do have a chance of winning it, but then like they still need more time, and they still need like proper management and
It's
stuff
not really
to
more
be able to
time. I
get it.
think for them to crack the puzzle, them winning a Champions League is actually a puzzle which many great coaches have came and struggled to crack. And the closest one, the closest coach who has been to cracking that puzzle was Thomas Tuchel. Not only with him reaching the Champions League final, but I mean, with how he got to manage the ego of both Mbappe and Neymar for the benefit of the team,
Mm.
because people were arguing with them playing the same position on the left. Are they going to be able to play together as they are both world class players? But the coach actually managed to have a way with converting Neymar into a number 10 and with letting Mbappe shine, with being the main man going forward. And it worked. It worked not only domestically, as we saw how deadly PSG was, to even them reaching the Champions League final. But not only there, not only until then, I think with Kylian Mbappe being able to play with Neymar and Messi, it almost had something to do, if not entirely, had something to do with the foundation that Thomas Tuchel actually laid on PSG. What do you think about that?
But if you can mix Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi together, I mean, it's all done. If you can mix
No,
those
but
three
remember, it's
big numbers
actually
together,
it's twice the benefit, but also twice the problem if the players cannot play together. What do you think? I mean, if not going to have combinations, it's going to be at their worst, where they cannot even get
exactly.
three touches with their big egos. But if they can,
And basically, because when Messi moved to PSG, everybody was hopeful about that combination he used to have with Neymar back
I
at
think if
Barcelona.
there's one
But that was
football
a
Yeah,
fact,
well, the
bust.
big signing. They also signed Ramos at that
That
time,
was a
Marquinhos.
let me
bust.
tell
So
let me tell you something about PSG. I mean, it's an underrated fact. Okay, it's bogus for me to call it a fact, but it's an opinion that nobody wants to state. I think PSG is low key the Saudi Arabia of Europe. What do you think about that?
yeah, it is.
With
Yeah,
them being a big money
big money
team,
spenders.
Yes,
Yes,
they
they
big
are
always
money
sign
big,
big
spenders.
players. Yeah,
big players are going there for the
I feel
money.
like
It's not really for the football.
they have
yeah,
this
it's for the money.
mentality
The
of
football is
For the money.
limited to their performance at the Champions League, which is barely them realistically standing as favorites.
and they
But
also have this mentality of like let's sign the biggest
they
and
can sign anyone they want. They can
let's sign
afford
the best
anyone they
players,
want.
and it's not even like that. You can sign all the stars in the
Hence, I'm
world,
saying
but then if they
PSG is
don't gel
actually
together, then you
Nothing's
are
gonna
in
happen.
for
Yeah.
a whole lot of.
PSG is actually the Saudi Arabia League of the UEFA Federation, if one would say, because players are moving there for money.
PSG
It's
and
not
Man
really for
United together.
football. It's not really for football. I wouldn't say okay, maybe part of it is for football, but it's more of a money move than it is a football move for most players. Because if you think about players like Ousmane Dembele, he would have easily moved to teams like Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, if he was about playing football and wanting to achieve something in football. Maybe teams like Juventus, who want to achieve something at the Champions League, or maybe even Manchester City. But PSG, and as there was a rumor that he was not happy with the salary cuts of Barcelona, maybe one would say that it's more of a homecoming than it is a money move. But every player who has signed for PSG has always been a player who's been about money. Look at the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I would excuse Messi because it's more like he had no choice. He was
But then also
convinced.
Zlatan, we know that Zlatan is also
Zlatan is about money.
is after big bucks.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
you
Most
can't
of these
offer
players
him
that
what
went
he
to
wants,
PSG,
he's
it's
not
been
gonna
for
come
big
to you.
bucks. Neymar,
Mm.
without any questions.
But then
Kylian
like
Mbappe.
we can
Kylian
argue
Mbappe stay at PSG was about
we can
money
argue
than
the Neymar one, Doug. As much as it was about money, but then
that he
remember
could have joined Manchester City.
Neymar wanted to be like the main man of the team. He was
Yeah.
tired of
Yeah,
being
but where
outshadowed
was
there at
PSG
Barcelona
at
and
that
stuff.
season? What we okay? Let's forget about Neymar. Um, it goes a long way. The likes of Ronaldinho, David Beckham. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but Ronaldinho, I think that was only it was on his come up.
Yeah.
But let's speak about the likes of who would I actually mention as far as PSG is concerned? I actually don't want to mention. Oh, the likes of Sergio Ramos, they had achieved everything. Mbappe stay at PSG. Do you think it was about football or was it about money?
Dog, they gave that nigga a big old fat
I
contract. So
use the N
obviously,
word. I saw we'd be catching smoke if we're off another race with him having used the N word. But yeah, they gave him a lot of money, having convinced him to stay. And there's a rumor that he actually had dinner with the French president.
yeah,
And
it's a rumor that he's been invited. It actually apparently it took place yesterday. So the French president invited him for dinner so that you have dinner with the French president and I don't know who from Qatar.
the captain, okay, people would say that he's the captain of the French football team. But
And someone
don't you
stated
think it's more about PSG than it is about the president inviting him as the
It
captain of
is.
yeah,
the
I think
French
it's
team?
all
they're
about,
trying to smooth them out. They're trying.
yes,
They're actually trying to get
to
him out of
stay, to
signing
stay.
for Real
Yes, yeah.
Madrid.
And somebody on
It's all
Twitter
about
was
that.
like, you see Mbappe walking out of that dinner with 25% of French territory and never again dealing with Madrid. I was like, yo,
Yeah,
see
politicians can
trolls, man.
give you everything you want. I mean, if the club is owned by politicians, they can actually pull out a power play like the one they did. But you remember that he actually regretted the contract that he last signed when you look at the dynamics of how it went when he was not happy with the coach. Even now, as it stands, he's not really happy with the coach, and he has a contract which allows him to address not being happy. But is he
Mm.
going to be able to exercise it? Hell no. But shout out to the coach who's actually starting to plan life ahead of Mbappe being part of the team. I'm not saying that he must be made to feel like he's not part of the team while he's still part of the team, but there must be a succession plan in motion, and the coach is very much realistic about it with Mbappe not being the main man. With how I think he was taken off at a game in which they were losing. They needed him, but the coach was like,
With it, I think it
"What
was still. I
happens
think it was
next
still
season?"
draw. It was still drawing. It was still drawing. I think it was not or
Do you
something.
think it's unfair for Mbappe?
It's not really unfair for Mbappe. I think Mbappe needs to move on if he wants to win some
But
big
it didn't
trophies.
show any signs of being less committed to the team as the remaining uh, time he has at the team stands. He's fully committed to it. He's
Bro,
scoring goals, and
that's actually how it goes at PSG, dog. How many players have been sidelined?
Exactly.
so you
We
think
go
it's
back to
political?
Julian Draxler, who've
No,
been
technically, as
sidelined.
a coach, it would make sense, but get a positive succession plan in motion because this one, I think it's a little toxic. It is. I mean, the thing is, Mbappe is a poster boy.
Mm.
So maybe the coach is actually trying to make sure that the fans actually adjust to him being gone. Because part of being a poster boy at the team, it's more than just your involvement at the team as far as the coach's tactical plans are concerned, but it's about the whole atmosphere, the environment that you bring. I mean, bring it to South African football sense. Look at how key Thembinkosi Lorch was at Orlando Pirates
Mm.
with being the main man there. And if we knew that he's leaving this soon, don't you think the coach would have actually started a few important games without him?
But Pirates already, you can say he was the main man, but they played a few lot of games without him.
No, that was
Because
last season when they had to play games without him, not when they were
mm,
the luxury of benching him.
mhm.
Let's be honest. There's no important game they've started without Thembinkosi Lorch,
When
with
he
him
was
being available
available.
and fit to play within the past 3 seasons. There's
Mm.
never been a tactical change where Thembinkosi Lorch didn't start a game. It's always been because of him being injured, him being not match fit. But there's never been a game where you've seen him benched. And with Kylian Mbappe, it's actually another one. So, I mean,
I think they have this mentality of, okay, you don't want to be with us or you don't want to play for us, then we'll just give you less and less game time.
Yeah, but we must speak about the environment that it goes to. I think that'll be for part two, where we'll speak about the possible teams which would be interested in signing him, where he would fit in.
But
But
then I think it's done all over the world. Check out Madrid right now. No? Who? Luka
the likes
Modric.
of Luka
Yeah,
Modric,
he's set to leave this season. This is like his last season, right?
so they're playing
And
most games without him.
Carlo Ancelotti is starting to, not particularly sideline him, but then he's starting to put together a team without Luka Modric.
Yes, and
So he brings him in like in the
yes,
second half, like
second
last
half,
minutes and stuff like
20
that.
minutes, 10
So
minutes.
yes, he's just trying to get the players used to not playing.
But is that
around
the
him.
luxury of playing other quality players ahead of Luka Modric, players who can do the job and win games? But
Yes, we're not
it's
disputing
not
that.
really the same. It's not really the same with Kylian Mbappe in PSG, because you look at most games, they need him. That's one fact that the coach doesn't want to admit, but it's true. They need him. Let's look at let's look at other games that they're gonna have. I mean, right now they're still at the luxury of doing it. The French league is not really as competitive as most leagues. Hence, Ronaldo was able to make that bogus statement he did about it, about the Saudi league being more competitive than the French league. But let's speak about a game. Let's say they face Bayern Munich at the Champions League. Is it a game the coach will start without Mbappe?
You can't start with Mbappe. Mbappe is made for big games. He's proven it. He's proven it a lot of times.
Exactly.
The World Cup, and his numbers do tell.
Exactly.
He's
It's not just a
he's never
number.
fell down under 20 goals per season. He's always been at
And
the
it's
top of
not
his
really
games.
with the matter of the quantity, the number of goals, but the quality also,
The
with
quality,
him rising
yes.
above as far as the biggest games are concerned. So I mean, I think what would be more of a beautiful story as far as the succession of Kylian Mbappe is concerned is him having a super season before leaving. I mean, the coach has the preseason to plan life without Mbappe. It's not like he's leaving them now within the season.
Yeah, but in preseason, most of the time they also play like against small teams. Right now, it's like when the
I
real
mean,
world, it's
we're
like
speaking of, it's not a matter of
big
them not
guns. You're
affording
supposed
to
to pull out
sign a
big guns.
possible replacement for him. So they can afford to get
I
that.
feel like if they keep who's this guy, Luis
Leave the
Enrique,
succession of Mbappe to the checkbooks.
check me out, yeah. Like I feel like if PSG is actually like planning on sticking with Luis Enrique, I feel like they won't even miss Mbappe in a way, because like if you check Luis Enrique's football, it's not solely based on
What Kylian Mbappe has to
pure
offer.
attacking football and counter attacks and stuff. Like he's more position based, calm, chill. So I don't think they'll miss him in a
Patience
way.
build ups and
Yes,
the
Yeah.
finesse.
he has
Yeah.
that Spanish thing about
But
it.
that's a
that-
big if. That's a big
yes,
if.
yeah.
Big if. If they do decide to stick with him. But then if they don't,
Yeah,
then
but they're not at the
that's another
luxury of
story.
making that choice. They still have to convince him to stay, which is not going to be that easy.
Who?
Which
Mbappe
is
or
almost
Enrique?
impossible.
Who, Mbappe or
Mbappe is
Enrique?
staying at PSG.
Nah, he's
I don't
not gonna
think
stay.
so.
Dog, he's already made up his
He's
mind.
not gonna stay.
Yeah,
He's
he's
already made up his
definitely not
mind.
going to stay. So I think this is it for part one, and then we're going to do part two, which is actually the possible teams which can accommodate Mbappe. But I think we have to wrap it up with considering three things with the signing of Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe, I think it takes three things for a team to be able to get Mbappe, accommodate him, and for them to be able to put him to full use. So there are three things which must be considered. Obviously, the primary one is the income bracket, because Kylian Mbappe doesn't come cheap. You see the amount that PSG is actually paying him right now, the contract that Real Madrid offered him before this reduced one. So, I mean, obviously, with the money, they must be able to afford his wages. That's the primary one. The second one would be the big player reception that's expected. I don't want to call it big player reception, but I want to call it the poster boy element about Kylian Mbappe. I mean, he's going to be a poster boy at any teams in which he signs to. There's no bigger player than Kylian Mbappe as far as that is concerned. I think the Cristiano
Bias.
Ronaldo. Who?
Me, I'm being biased right now.
Who?
Vinny.
Vinicius Junior.
Move
No,
on.
that is a
Move
critical
on,
football
move on.
analysis.
Move on, move
What do you
on.
think?
Like I said,
We must
like
get,
I
we
said,
must get a second opinion.
I'm being biased. Move on,
No,
move
you know
on.
you're being
Guys,
biased.
there
Who do you
is
think?
a lot of big players in Madrid. Jude Bellingham is also there.
Yeah,
biggest
that
player
guy's
right now?
also poster boy.
Yeah,
dog.
but okay, a player who would be compared, who would be closer to being compared to Kylian Mbappe is Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, it's Vinicius also. Why y'all leaving Vinicius behind?
No,
What the hell is wrong with you
he's
guys?
good on the field. We get that, but that is
That
for
guy,
us. That is
bro,
for us
you.
football analysts. But people who don't even know football. I mean, I can call out a girl in one of my contacts right now. Ask him if she knows either Kylian Mbappe or Vinicius Junior. Who is she gonna answer for?
Kylian.
Okay, but on the ladies, people are gonna actually say something else. So let's leave that. But I mean, Kylian Mbappe is the biggest player in the world right now. Whether we like it or not, he's the Cristiano Ronaldo of this generation. Maybe not as big as Ronaldo in his prime, but he has that Ronaldo thing about him in
But then
terms
the
of how
question
big he is.
is he in his
And
prime
then
yet?
Mm.
Or his prime or is
Exactly.
his prime
is
still
yet
yet
to
to come?
come. That is to be answered with how well he performs in actually joining. I'm gonna guess Real Madrid, but whatever team that he joins. And then what else is to be considered if they sign Mbappe? We counted the income bracket.
The type of football, bruh.
We
Yeah.
counted also the poster boy
The
element
poster boy,
about
yeah.
him,
The
and
style
there's
of
the
play now.
style of play.
Yeah.